Hey YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin, if you're new here. If you're not, thank you so much for stopping back by. It really means a lot to me. My channel is all about personal finance and my journey through some debt payoff, savings, and budgeting. And if any of that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to follow along. I would really appreciate it. With that, today we're actually going to get into some like finance adjacent sort of wellness kind of whatever. And we're going to be talking about DietBet. So if you don't know, I did a DietBet this year. I started in May and I did a couple videos about it in the beginning, and then everything just went crazy. Life happened and I didn't really keep up with pumping out monthly updates. But I did want to, now that the DietBet has ended, kind of go over it and express my opinion on DietBet as a whole. So with that, first things first, what is DietBet and how do you do it? So DietBet is an app that is a chance for you to literally bet money on your weight loss journey. So what you do is you can sign up, and there's different levels. Like you could do a 1 month or a 6 month, or I don't know what else, but essentially you're betting against yourself and potentially others. So for me, I signed up for a 6-month DietBet, which was you had 6 months to lose 10% of your body weight, and each month had its own goal. So you would be progressively losing the weight, ideally. And then each month you bet a certain amount on that weight loss. And if you reach your goal each month, you win or lose, and you can get money at those stages. And then at the very end is when you would get your actual payout. So for me, it was $75 a month, and I decided to pay it all up front, so I got 1 month free. So I paid for 5 months and did 6 months. So I did the whole DietBet. And then I also paid $20 to get like the membership, so that every time I did a weekly weigh-in, it would count towards a prize raffle. There were prizes like kayaks and Stitch Fix cards and all kinds of stuff. So that is the gist. One more key note is that each round, like each month is a round, and you can win or lose each round, and half of your bet for that month goes towards the pot for that round, and then half of it goes to the pot for the end. So if you win each round, the pot is split between all the players in your group that won. So you could win less than you paid in for that month, but it's because half of your bet is going to the end, to the big pot at the end. And then also if you lose, you don't get your money back, obviously, but DietBet did have a guarantee on this game that if you won, you would get your money back bare minimum. So as long as you won, you get your money back. But it's you can lose a couple rounds and usually get your money back anyway. So anyway, with that, that is what DietBet is, and the one that I did, those are the details. So I just want to get into kind of how my journey looked with DietBet. So the way that I went about it was, this is the first time I've done something where there wasn't like a strict diet or exercise routine or anything like that. It was really up to me. I thought this was going to be great for me because finances are a huge motivator in my life. I mean, my whole YouTube channel is about personal finance, so you can tell, like, I definitely am motivated by money, and the thought of losing money was a motivator for me. So I thought this was going to be just the right motivation to get me on track and form some healthy habits and start to lose weight, because I am just not at a point where I'm happy with where I'm at, and I want to get to a healthier place and a healthier relationship with food. So with that, I went into DietBet thinking, okay, I'm going to try to do some healthier stuff food-wise, and I'm going to work out. So I was doing a lot of dumbbell weightlifting, strength training, stuff like that. And then I did transition a couple months into half marathon training, so a lot of running and literally no strength training at all, which probably was not good for me anyway. But so that's kind of what I did. And month by month, I was running anywhere from 20 to 50 miles a month. So I was definitely running quite a bit, burning a lot of calories running. But nutritionally, I would do good for like a week. I'd do terrible for a week. I'd do okay for a week, do terrible again. You know, it was not good. I was very much on a roller coaster this entire way through the DietBet, and money did not turn out to be the right kind of motivator for me with health and wellness. That is what I'll say about that. But I do want to go over the pros and cons, and with that, I'll get into more of like why this was just so bad for me. Like, so I'll go over the pros first. So DietBet actually has, I just heard something fall off my table, so that's why I was like, oh. Anyway, DietBet doesn't have very many rules, which is cool. It's not super strict, you know, you can have whatever treats you want. You can literally do whatever you want. The only goal is that your scale will say a lower number. So that's cool. I mean, it's really flexible. The staggered goals month by month does make it to where you are supposed to gradually lose weight, which is good. I mean, you're not like expected to lose 10% 1 month. That's crazy. So that's cool. Another pro for DietBet is that you can make money. You definitely can. I spent $395 and at the end I cashed out with $599. So I made about $200 through this process. But I am not happy with how I did it, and I am not lighter than I was when I started. I'm about 2 or 3 weeks past the end of it, and I have gained weight back, and it really, like, I mean, yeah, cool, $200, but it really wasn't worth it to be on this roller coaster and stressed all the time about needing to weigh in and all this stuff. So you can make money, but you can make money. So that's a pro. You can win prizes, and that's really cool. And so if you do a weekly weigh-in, which a lot of people argue is not good for some people, it's okay for other people. It just depends on the person whether or not regular weighing in is good for you mentally. But if you do it, you can win prizes, and the prizes were really good. Like I mentioned, there was a Stitch Fix gift card, there was a rowing machine, there was a blow up kayak, blow up hot tub, there was like Yeti coolers and all kinds of stuff. So I did not actually win any prizes, but I was in a diet bet with like over 300 people. So yeah, I didn't win any, but they were cool prizes. And then there were a few nice people in the app, because in the app you can like talk to people and stuff, and there's, you know, comments and posts, and you know, they're trying to build a community, and there were some nice people that said nice things to me. So I did like that. That was cool. But that pretty much sums it up for the pros of DietBet. So we will move on to the cons, and let me just say, they definitely outweigh the pros for me. So, first things first, the motivation is there to do this the wrong way. There's a lot of motivation. For me, I was motivated to do this the wrong way. I got to a point where I was like, all right, it's easier to game the system than it is to just actually not eat too much. You know, like I have a huge problem with overeating in the evenings, and I didn't address that problem in any meaningful way through DietBet. And there's no real motivation to do so. The motivation is to just hit that number goal. And there are other ways to do it, like starving yourself for days, not drinking water, going super hard, like running like 7 miles right before you're supposed to weigh in, like stuff like that. So yeah, I think the motivation is not there to do it the right way. And so I think that's a big con, and it was a really big detriment for me. For 6 straight months, I was stressing, doing unhealthy things the week of the weigh-in, and it just wasn't good. So there's that. Another con is that you can literally lose your money for not losing weight, which sucks. And like, of course you sign up to potentially lose your money, but it still sucks to lose money. So that is bad. Another thing is that you could lose weight and still lose money, because if you don't meet your goal weight, but you did lose a little bit of weight, you still lose the round and still lose your money. So that sucks. Like, and I think that is like one of the most disheartening things I felt throughout the whole thing, was that I did a good job. I lost 3 pounds in a month, and it wasn't good enough. You know, I didn't win every round. So yeah, that sucked. And I do think that's a big con. Another con is that it is pretty darn easy to game the system or even cheat. So like I said, you could do things really unhealthy, you know, not drink enough water. You could run a ton before you weigh in. You can, you know, starve yourself for a few days, and boom, you've lost the weight. Like, happy, good day. Like, you know, you lost the weight, but like, you're gonna gain it right back. And that's what happened to me a lot. And I even have seen some videos people have put out saying that some people will like eat like a ton and be like super bloated right before they weigh in for the beginning of a diet met. That way they don't have to lose as much when they get to the end. So that's another way it's pretty easy to like game the system. And I just think like that's kind of a con. I don't think there's a way to have DietBet without having those downfalls. So it's not really their fault. And I don't know that, I mean, I just think it's easy to do that. So it's like, what's the point of doing this again? Because so many people will win by doing that the way that I did. Like I said, I did this a really unhealthy way at most of the rounds. So yeah, the first couple months I was trying to be as healthy as possible and did a decent job. I lost about 5 pounds in the first month. I lost about 2 pounds in the second month. And so I won the first round, lost the second round. And then after that, I was like, it's so hard. And that's on me. Like, I know I have stuff I need to work through to like get where I want to be. And a lot of it is going to be mental and nutritionally and whatnot. But, I wish DietBet had been a better answer for me, but it really wasn't. So anyway, so that is another downside, is the ease of gaming the system. And then another thing is it's very like diet culture-y, it's literally called DietBet, and I think it can push people into an unhealthy place with exercise and eating. So for me, it definitely pushed me to a really unhealthy place with eating. And I could also see how if you were over exercising to make up for a bad diet, or maybe you didn't do so great for the first couple weeks of the month and you needed to catch up and you felt that like you might have over exercised, and injuries can happen from over exercising. So I think that is not great, and the culture that this creates is just not ideal. Like, in an ideal world, everybody would do it the right way and there would be no corners cutting and stuff like that, but we don't live in an ideal world. And so for a lot of people, this is, pushing you in the wrong direction, I think. So that is another con. And then the next thing, I mentioned that you can like talk to people in the app. Well, like, that's really cool, except that there's no community building. There's no accountability from the other participants. In fact, like, because it's a bet, it's almost like you literally do not care one way or the other if those people actually lose weight or not, because it doesn't impact you. They guarantee that you would get your money back if you win. So if they win, they get their money back. So it doesn't affect you if they win. And if they lose, it benefits you if you win. So like, it's almost like there's really no community. Like, some people would post regularly, but like, it still doesn't create much community. I posted a few times and people were nice to me and that was cool, but like, there was really no like motivation to post a lot or comment a lot on other people's posts. So it just like, really, there was no accountability or community sense there. I don't know how much DietBet really wants that to be a thing, but I had hoped it would help, and it really wasn't a part of it. So that kind of sucked. And then another thing is, after you weigh in, they give you an option to fill out a journal on there. So it's like, how'd you do last week? How much did you exercise? How was your diet last week? What was something you did good? What was something you could do better? And then what are your goals for next week? And these journals were like a good way to reflect. But if you were someone who was doing it the unhealthy way, like, you really aren't going to write down that like, I did really great at not eating enough the 3 days leading up to my weigh-in. So cool. And then next week, I'm going to try to, only not eat one day before my, like, you're not going to write that down. So I don't know, they seemed pointless is my point here. And also, they didn't really include stats going back. So like, you're filling out like statistics. Like, I worked out 5 times out of 7 days this week, and I had a 3 overall for my grading myself on nutrition. And it would have been cool to see the stats going back for each week that I did a journal, to see like what I was saying. But yeah, they just seemed kind of pointless. And a lot of times I just like didn't even fill them out, because it was like, why am I even bothering? So that was the last con that I had for doing this DietBet. And I know this video is already kind of long, but I just really wanted to get this out there because I had done a couple videos about DietBet in the beginning, really positive, like excited about it, thinking that this was going to be like really helpful for me. And it turned out to be honestly so detrimental. Like, I've definitely done worse things for myself. Definitely. I think that I've done some, workout program and nutrition programs before that really were like even more detrimental. At least the worst thing it did was like motivate me in the wrong direction. So now that I'm not doing it, I'm not seeing like repercussions afterwards from it. Whereas like, I've done other things before that kind of were a detriment to my relationship with food long-term. So there's no like long-term impact on me from this, I don't think, but it still was just it felt like a waste of my mental energy to like stress about this thing for 6 months and spend days where I wasn't drinking water when I wanted to drink. Like, I was so thirsty, but I wanted to weigh in and meet the goal. And that just sucked. And it just wasn't worth it, honestly, in the long run. So anywho, would I recommend DietBet? Absolutely not. I would never recommend it to anyone. maybe if you did it with just like your friends, like your 5 friends, you did like a personal bet, like not inside this app, not affiliated with them, like just did a bet with your friends and held each other accountable. Maybe that would be like an acceptable way to like bet on weight loss. But other than that, I just don't think it's worth it. I've never done like healthy wage or anything like that. Never will, but I would be willing to wager that they're pretty darn similar to DietBet in the kind of motivation I would get from it. And for me, that's just not my cup of tea. So there you have it, guys. I am not a fan of DietBet and I wouldn't recommend it. So thank you guys so much for sticking with me to the end of this video. I know it was long, so thank you, and I will catch you in my next video. Have a great morning, noon, or night, whatever it is for you.